And oh, hello. um, Hi, I am Sarah Kramer. Here with Ker Downey for our, I don't know, it's like ninth or 10th episode of On the Horizon. And today we are doing Iceland. And we are so honored to be here with Nikki Brandon, who, some of you may know her as our Vice President of Ker Downey. And then Sarah, who is our partner on the ground in Iceland for Private Travel Iceland. Sarah has been working on the Iceland side for 8 years, but is a travel industry veteran. So we are super excited to learn more. Nikki traveled to Iceland in 2018. And I still remember when she came back and she just raved about it. And she got some of the most gorgeous pictures that you see in some of our Quest magazines come from that trip. So we all just love hearing about it. So today we're going to learn a little bit more about Iceland. If you have questions, hold them till the end and we'll get them at the end. And as you may have seen, we are giving away $500 towards our next trip to Iceland. So for those that have joined, you'll be entered in a drawing, and I personally will be sending you an email with a voucher for your next trip to Iceland. So that is something fun that's new that we're offering and we're super excited about. So let's go ahead and get started. Nikki, tell us a little bit. Think back to 2018 when you got back from Iceland, your first sort of feeling about it and what you love about it. And especially why, we have tons of clients that come back and just rave about Iceland, and especially our partnership with Private Travel Iceland is amazing. So we get just amazing feedback, but tell us a little bit about Iceland itself and why you love it.
Okay, so most of you who are on there who do know me, I'm obviously, my roots are in Africa. So to go to somewhere totally and utterly different was just amazing. I did a very quick trip. And actually was talking to Sarah from PTI the other day about actually me going back to go and do it again and take the kids. I totally loved it. It's extremely unique. You won't find that sort of product anywhere else. It offers the population was also extremely low, and they're sort of all clustered into one area. The food experience is amazing, and everything else that goes with it, and how Iceland has just moved forward very quickly, very rapidly to offer everything that actually a Ker Downey client would want. Whether you just want to sit in your hotel room and watch the Northern Lights, or you do want to get out and about and do a serious hike. So it was just so refreshing and just like a totally, different area to go and see. So I think then, and the history and everything with it is totally fascinating. And as you can see, you're a tiny person in the most amazing landscape that you've ever seen or been to. And it's just been very created to make, even though from a tourism standard point of view, it's awesome, you don't actually feel as if you are a tourist because of the way that you've done it. And you can get away from the crowds, which of course is especially pertinent to now. So when we go to, so I think Sarah takes over from here as about, the history and everything and the geography of Iceland.
Thank you, Nikki. So as Nikki said, Iceland is one of those countries that just captures you from the first time you go there. I'm obviously not Icelandic, I'm British. I think I went to Iceland about 15 years ago, and I knew the first time that I went, it would sort of stay with me. I didn't know obviously then how, but then we set up Private Travel Iceland 8 years ago, and we sort of haven't looked back. Iceland is rich in history and rich in geography. It was founded more than 1,000 years ago, back in the 9th century. And that was during the sort of Viking age with the Celtics and the Norse settlers, so going from all of sort of Scandinavia and Norway. Iceland's also very special because on the sort of Golden Circle route, you've got an area called Thingvellir, where the first parliament was formed in Iceland, and that was back in 930 AD. From then it went on to the Saga period. Christianity was introduced, and then the Norwegian crown sort of got involved, and sort of took over, and then the Danish took over, and there was all this sort of big history. And then we got to sort of the modern day, where in 1944 then Iceland gained their full independence back. So that's sort of just a very, you know, nutshell sort of history. But as you can see from the sort of images on the screen, you can see the different landscapes and the different geography of Iceland. You've got anything from erupting volcanoes currently happening at the moment to a tiny little island surrounded by amazing coastline from the Greenland Sea and the North Atlantic. Iceland as well is only sort of 64 to 66 degrees south of the, it's just south of the Arctic Circle. So their sort of formation is 64 to 66 degrees. And then you have all of the ridges going through Iceland and the tectonic plates of where Europe and Asia and the Americas meet. So it's rich in so many different ways. And then that sort of leads us on to how a different country is seasonally. So what we find is a lot of people who are coming to Iceland in the winter are wanting to experience this winter wonderland where the days are short. We've got, you know, beautiful snowy scenes, and then obviously that sort of comes with the Northern Lights. And then sort of this image, we've got the summer, which is the complete opposite. It's a green, beautiful, luscious country. The waterfalls are in full flow, and we've got the complete opposite. Then we've got 24 hours of daylight. So, you know, people come in the summer and they come back in the winter to experience Iceland in its different sort of forms. The Northern Lights have already started now, and at the moment they're really sort of prominent and strong, even in Reykjavik, which is crazy because obviously, you know, the less light pollution you have, so to be prominent in the city at the moment is a really sort of special thing. So that's Goldfoss waterfall there in that image, which the image too before was the same waterfall, and that just shows you the sort of differences on how the country can be. So I think the next image we've got is a map, so we can sort of talk about the sort of main regions of Iceland. So you're coming into the airport, which is in the southwest of the country, which is the Reykjanes Peninsula, and that airport's called Keflavik. So it's about 45 minutes to an hour outside of Reykjavik, which is the capital where the star is. So most people coming to Iceland for that first time are focusing on the area and the southern sort of shores. And then people coming back, or people with more time, we're looking sort of southeast as far as Jökulsá, which is the glacier lagoon located there. And then up to the north, we've got Lake Mývatn and Akurey. So other sort of areas that if we've got more time or repeat clients coming to look at that. So I think the first sort of region we're going to discuss is Reykjavik and the Reykjanes Peninsula. So the main sort of highlights of that area are the Blue Lagoon, which is sort of 15-20 minutes from the airport at Keflavik. And we like to include that really at the end of an itinerary. Iceland's not generally a relaxing holiday. You're coming to be outdoors, you're coming to be with nature, you're going to be hiking and walking and doing all sorts of activities like horse riding and snowmobiling. So you're going to have some really action-packed days. So it's nice then at the end of the itinerary to go and enjoy the Blue Lagoon and relax there. Also sort of on the edge of that sort of area, we've got Inside the Volcano, which is a complete unique experience to Iceland. It's a dormant volcano that erupted, but it never folded back in itself. So it was discovered and it was still open. So they were able to then sort of form a drop down sort of open lift system, like what you clean the windows of skyscrapers with, to then go inside and see what a volcano looks like after an eruption. And then one of my favorite things, which I think is one of Nikki's as well, is the food in Reykjavik. The food seems just amazing. So I'll sort of pass you on to Nikki then, so she can talk about when she was in Iceland with us and her thoughts on this sort of area.
Yeah, so when we do get inquiries for Iceland, we get a lot of people who just don't even want to stay in Reykjavik. I personally think it's well worth it. And again, for the food. So what you've also got to remember is the fact that with Iceland, everything is imported because it's mainly covered by glaciers and volcanic activity. So there is a lot that is brought in, but from an Icelandic point of view, the main sustenance is actually seafood in the form of salmon, trout, and then also lamb is huge. So Reykjavik has this gorgeous, again, it's more for the locals, but that's what we like to do with Ker Downey, is, you know, the local food markets and what they do, and it's not and it's a really, really amazing experience. And then also what I do need to add here in is the fact that Reykjavik airport is amazing. It's probably, again, because it's newer, it's very clean, it's very organized, probably has huge volume of people going through, but for some reason, you know, as you step off the plane, it's just not mad or stressful or anything. And that's another thing I really did like about it, was that the airport was so civilized. So in Reykjavik, there are quite a number of places to stay. So the retreat is out there, way out there. It's totally and utterly amazing. And it's great. But again, like as Sarah mentioned earlier, it's all, you know, hinged in with the Blue Lagoon and everything. And I would actually recommend that people stay there at the end of their trip. Then there's also the Sand Hotel, which I totally and utterly loved. It's right in the middle of Reykjavik, downtown. It's got the vibe. It's got easy access to any shops you might want to go to, restaurants. And it's a really great place to just be able to walk around and feel totally safe. And then the tofu, Sarah, you're going to discuss, because this is a new property.
This opened just before the pandemic, so a little bit of unfortunate timing for them, but also then another good way for them to have a nice slow opening to get things right. The Torfhus is located sort of in the Golden Circle area. So once, usually we will spend sort of a couple of nights in Reykjavik, and that first stop afterwards will be in that area. And they're modelled on, so Torfhus is Icelandic for turf houses. So the turf houses are what the Icelandic people used to live in. So that's what they've sort of modelled it on. You've got a 2-bedroom unit, and each bedroom can be either a king or a twin. And then it's a shared bathroom, a kitchenette area, and then this lounge area. And each of the 2-bedroom ones have their own private hot pool, which is just, I don't know if I ever told you that, which is amazing for the winter, because you can just sit in this pool of hot water with your chilled glass of wine or vodka or whatever you want and watch the Northern Lights until your heart's content. Or, you know, in the summer after a long day of hiking, it's just good to get in there and just relax those sort of muscles after a busy day. And then you have the 1-bedroom units, which are in blocks of 3, and they share a hot pool between them. And that's sort of more of an open plan, still with the kitchenette. But it's such a great way for families to be together, instead of having sort of separate rooms for the kids or a group of friends or someone that's just wanting a bit more space and privacy. So that's sort of the Torfhouse for us. I think the next area we're going to be talking on is really the southern sort of area of Iceland, which is around where Nikki just showed us there. So yes, so the main images of the southern shores are the black sand beaches, really, which is that top sort of right image. And then we have a couple of amazing days that we do with the Super Jeep, which is one of Nikki's pictures that she took from her trip there. And those Super Jeep days go into Thorsmork, which is the Valley of the Thor, which was created after the eruption in 2011. And then also my personal favourite day, Langmanlur, which is the Highlands, but it's only open for such a short window in the summer because otherwise the access gets blocked off with the snow. And the Langmanlur are just sort of the Highlands, great hiking. Actually, one of the hikes in Langmanlur and also in Thorsmork is featured in National Geographic sort of top hikes. So people wanting to do maybe a section of that for a day, or maybe an overnight where the guide can then take up a tent and things, and that's possible for us to sort of arrange for you. Also, in terms of activities and adventure in the Southern Shores, we can do anything from fishing in the summer months, we can do ATVs, snowmobiling, horseback riding, and then also, which is another thing that people don't think about Iceland, think Iceland has, is Silfra, which is where the two tectonics plates meet, and you can go snorkeling and dive in there. So it's dry suit diving, and it's one of the clearest waters in the world, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. Then we have amazing places to eat on local farms. We have a great tomato farm where it's all sort of powered on geothermal. That's some of the images there. We've got ice caves and tunneling and lava centers, and you know, it's a playground. We can spend as little as 2 days there, or we can spend a week there to do everything. And this is one of the sort of main areas then we focused on with Nikki when she came with us.
Yeah, so that diving between the two plates is quite amazing. I wasn't adventurous enough or qualified enough, but you know, who would think that you would, you know, head off to Iceland to go and to go and dive there? And again, that just goes back to this whole thing of Iceland just being so unique. That top right picture is a new, opened up again just when I was there. It's the Lava Center. So it explains all about Iceland, how the, you know, earthquakes work, lava flow works, and the whole thing. Obviously, yeah, for those of you who are on here know me, I am horse mad. And again, I was very much into the horse culture there. The Icelandic ponies are extremely coveted, and they look after them extremely well, so much so that no other horses are allowed to actually come into Iceland, especially once they've left. And the whole breeding program is amazing. As you can see far left, I ended up on the pony with probably the most amazing highlighted mane that women would give a fortune for, were we to go to the hairdresser. And it's amazing how they're all kept. And so again, if you are a horse lover, you can also do that. And another one that did fascinate me was the tomato farm, because it's all done on hydroponics, it's all green, it's all environmentally friendly. You can pop in there and you can have either, obviously everyone has their tomato soup, but you could even have a tomato coffee latte. And then, I mean, anything that they could do, they did for you. So it was, again, you know, who would go to Iceland to go and visit a tomato farm? And it's all pollinated by bees, which, as we know, are all, you know, very much on point with environmental conversations today. So I also find that extremely fascinating. I loved Skullercup Manor. That was where I stayed. It's very much a working farm, but the hospitality, the rooms, everything was just, it was awesome. So now we're heading to another area, are we not, Sarah?
Yes, we're going north now, which is where we'll take Nikki when she comes back next with us.
Yes.
So northern parts of Iceland are pretty untouched, really. You know, Akurey is the main sort of city. We can either drive there from Reykjavik, which we're sort of looking anything from 4 to 6 hours, depending on the time of year and things. And then there's a smaller sort of fishing village called Husavik. But apart from that, it's all very much, again, landscapes, nature, and quite dramatic ones up in the north. If people are really into whale watching, we can do it from Reykjavik, but up in the north, we've got an amazing whale museum, and also some great sort of fishing boats and private schooners and things that we can do whale watching from. We've got some of the biggest and widest waterfalls up in the north, quite dramatic ones, and some amazing farms. There's also a beer spa, which we'll take you to next time, Nikki, which is quite an unusual sort of concept, but it's quite fun and different for people to try. And then we've got Lake Mývatn, which is sort of an area which is quite sort of moon-like. I believe that before Neil Armstrong and his team and everyone went to the moon, they actually came to Iceland to practice on the terrain before they did their sort of famous moon landing. So that's sort of a nutshell on the northern. And then we've got just a quick sort of recap on the East Fjords of Iceland. So we sort of mainly just cover the East Fjords when we're doing the full ring road, which we'll only do sort of summer months because of the weather and the road closures and things, and having access to there. So when people are doing a ring road, we usually allow sort of 2 weeks. And then once we've finished on the southern shores, before we head up north, we'll touch on those sort of East Fjords. That picture there is called the Diamond Beach, which is just off of Jökulsárlón Glacier Lagoon. So it's where all the icebergs from the glacier go into the lagoon and then eventually out of sea, and they keep sort of washing up on the shore, and then they have this sort of glistening diamond effect. But the East Fjords are very, very dramatic fjords, fishing villages, and very much sort of small B&B properties, and a lot of meeting sort of local people and getting back to sort of less touched Iceland, if that makes sort of sense. It's a beautiful area to visit. So I think now we're just going to sort of touch on some other experiences, which I briefly mentioned before, was sort of fishing and hiking. And then I think then we're just going to sort of talk about what's on the horizon for Iceland, what's opening up.
Yeah, if there's any experiences, you touched on so many amazing ones. I already am like dying to go. So if there's any more that you want to touch on, and then let us know a little bit about COVID protocols, what's taking place right now.
I think Sarah, we need to touch on the Eiderdown experience.
I was going to pass that on him.
So way out. I mean, fishing is fishing, and and the fishing is awesome, but I do think the Eiderdown experience it does need a mention here.
So it's a separate sort of island just off the West Fjords of Iceland, where, as you can see, the eider ducks are there, and that's where the feathers are picked to make your duvets, basically. Your you call them comforters, don't you? In
the States they're called comforters.
We call them duvets, and they're sort of hand-picked, and it's only such a short window that these can sort of be done. And there's special ones that they can make over there and ship over to you anywhere in the world, which also then sort of relates into another tradition in Iceland, which is wool and knitting, because of the amount of sheep. Everyone in school in Iceland is taught how to knit still to this day. And they make these, I should have worn it today, these amazing Icelandic sweaters with this specific print. And, everyone sort of wears them out there because they're just such a great way of keeping you warm. We can get people to meet with sort of elderly ladies or other people that are doing the knitting, get you sized up, and they can get you one, you choose all your colors and things and knitted, and we can get it sent back to home for you if you didn't want to buy one off
it's amazing.
Off this sort of
so
shelf.
Now for your update, Sarah, and there she is.
So as soon as I had my second vaccine for COVID, I was straight on the plane back to Iceland, because obviously it was the longest I hadn't been out there. And I was just lucky enough to, when I went out there, to experience this eruption, which is still going on at the moment. It's having a little quiet few days, but there's still some rumblings. So this is in the Reykjanes Peninsula area. It's just about 30 minutes from our office, so not far. We can actually see it from the office, and the boys watch it from the view. And this is an eruption that happened, it started back in March. And we just took a hike there. The lava was coming out really well. So we decided about 11 o'clock one night, because it was summer and it was 24 hours of daylight, that we would do this hike. The routes are changing daily because of the lava flow, because it's live. So we never know when it's going. So they're making new routes to hike. So they literally just changed it when we got there, and we had to literally hike about an hour and a half uphill on no path, because it's just happening. And we got this amazing view of this eruption. And I think this picture was taken about 1 or 2 in the morning. So that shows you what the daylight's like at sort of end of June in Iceland. So that's sort of something that's happening at the moment. We've got a few new properties opening last week, actually, which is, I think, one of my most asked questions over the past 5 or 6 years, is when is the Marriott Edition opening, and they opened their doors quite quietly last week. It's still a very soft opening. They're planning to have everything finished by next month to do a proper launch. It's still so soft opening. We did have some clients say at the beginning of the week that they're still not, the architect doesn't want any sort of images taken until the professionals have been in there. So I don't have any yet to show you, but as soon as I do, I'll send them over to Nikki. And there's also on the horizon, which I'm not sure now because of COVID, the sort of date, but a Six Senses opening in Iceland in the east of the country, which will be very much a destination.
That's going to be amazing.
I know, it's so exciting. So it's going to be right in the east as well. So it'll open up that east area, and it'll also just make Iceland a destination hotel. So let me talk about COVID. Currently, I mean, the numbers, Iceland have done so well because it's an outdoor destination and it's such a low population. The numbers are very low. To get into Iceland, to avoid any quarantining, you need to be fully vaccinated with proof of your vaccination. And you also need to take a PCR or a rapid flow test within 72 hours of your arrival and have your documentation for that. You also need to complete a pre-registration form, which, I mean, we send all this information over to you guys at Ker Downey for every booking. So once all those complete, then people can arrive and do as they wish in Iceland without sort of any restrictions. If people haven't been vaccinated, it's a 5-day quarantine before, and with sort of clear PCR tests without sort of stepping into the wilderness and doing any sightseeing after that. And then I know to get back into the US, you need a PCR or a lateral flow, a rapid test. So we would, the guide would work with you guys and the clients on the ground to get it booked, to find the best sort of center to do it in terms of their itinerary, to make sure that they've got the results and things in time for getting back home. So that kind of leads on really to the last sort of topic. Why come to Iceland now? I know we've got a lot of nervous travelers, a lot of people who haven't traveled now for a while, and Iceland to me is just the perfect destination because you are outdoors the majority of the time. It's not a busy destination, and our guides and the team on the ground work so hard to take people and to avoid the sort of crowds on the sort of main sites. You know, you have the same driver guide throughout, so you're not mixing people then, you're not queuing to get into museums because there's not many sort of places like that. There's the Lava Center like Nikki showed us, but it's all very open plan and airy and light. Iceland are about to announce in the next couple of days that they will be relaxing all of their COVID protocols. So things for them are going back. And when I was over last in July, it was like that. And it just felt amazing. It felt safe and it felt good to be back to normal as it was pre sort of COVID. So that's
yeah, and I think we need to touch on and stress again the fact that Iceland has always had a low population anyway.
350,000 people.
Yeah. So that is extremely relative. I can't remember when I actually last went to a place where there was such a low population. So that's all relative. Also, as Sarah says, it's all outdoors, and it's just they've handled everything really well, I think, from a COVID point of view. And then also the big thing for all of you on this is we actually have a lot of, because the flights, international flights from the States and Canada have all started back up. They're all flying through. When I went, I actually went British Airways, and I actually overnighted one night in London just to sort of get over the jet lag, so that I knew that when I got to Iceland, I was going to hit the ground running. So I obviously didn't want that to be ruined. So that was a good thing. And a lot of people, of our clients, have now started, with the rest of Europe opening up, what they're doing is combining Iceland, because they might be flying through there anyway, and then combining it with another Europe destination. So the amazing thing about Iceland is it is an all year round destination, which is perfect. Everyone, I think, only thinks of the Northern Lights, but that there's still plenty to do in the summer where you can appreciate the summer weather, but you can also still get, there's still plenty of glaciers there and snowmobiling, and so that's why I think it's also it's just great. But again, as Sarah says, summer it's practically light all day, but then winter time parts of Iceland are actually blocked off.
That's awesome. Okay, so show us on the next slide. I think there's an itinerary that's just we can do anything. So this is our typical, like someone maybe who has not been to Iceland before. This would be a
and
good
please note that is not me in the swimming costume. So you will know. I did not look like that when I stayed in the retreat, but
yes, it is. You asked someone to take a picture of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is just a typical awesome, really great luxury itinerary. I think if you haven't been to Iceland or you haven't done a sort of luxury Iceland itinerary, this would be a great place to start. Obviously, we can do anything. So if you've been to certain areas and you haven't seen the northern area or want to do something like that, you certainly can. Here's another one. That Sarah, do you have anything to say on?
Yeah, sorry, there was something we completely forgot to touch on when I just saw the itinerary is we have such an amazing portfolio of lodges and private houses, which has also proven this year to be really, really popular for two sort of reasons. I think a lot of us have spent so long without seeing family and loved ones that this year showed a lot of multi-generational travel. So parents with grandparents and things like that. So instead of taking 2 or 3 or 4 bedrooms in a hotel, we were sort of booking private houses, and they'd be fully staffed. You'd have a chef doing your breakfast and your dinner, and it just, then you had that one communal space where the family could just spend so much quality time together. So that's another option for people to sort of consider, that private house option.
Do private houses have a limit on number of days?
No.
That you can spend? Okay.
Some of them, no. There are a few that have sort of minimum 2 nights, which isn't really much.
Yeah.
When we're sort of in that area anyway, we're sort of looking 3-4 nights. But we do have others that don't have any sort of minimum night stays.
Good. Okay.
And also, the access that Sarah and her team have to private houses are not available like on Airbnb or anywhere else. And we did have one client stay in the most beautiful one going. So yeah, again, just that's also the nice thing. Yeah.
Some of them are just stunning, absolutely. And the different styles of them, some of them are, ultra modern, floor to ceiling glass all the way around just to take in those views. And then some are a little more sort of traditional. So obviously, we can suit the right house in the right area to the right people.
Awesome. Okay. Is there anything else? I think as we wrap up, if you have any questions, be sure to type them in so that we can get to them. Nikki, if you'll flip to the next slide, I think that, or is this the last one? Yeah. So this is ways you can contact us. You obviously call us. You can email Nikki or your designer directly. Obviously go to your website. And we will be able to start putting an itinerary together for you. So if you want to ask questions at that time too, we're always open and available. And of course, we appreciate everyone who decided to join on. A big, big, big special thanks to Sarah for joining us today. It's just such a pleasure to talk to you and work with you. You're a delight. So I really appreciate that. And Nikki is on the road. We're super excited because, travel has been to anywhere domestically and everything has been halted for, over 18 months. So Nikki's actually getting out and doing her thing and traveling. So she was speaking to us from our hotel room. So that's pretty awesome. Thank you, Nikki. That's my cat. If you have any questions, please let us know. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us. Last thing is, for everybody who joined, I'm going to be reaching out to the person directly for $500 toward your trip to Iceland. So be on the lookout for that. And that is all we have. Thank you so much for joining. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Sarah, are you still there?